Otherwise, it's still.
I've just opened just like opened the item, so it doesn't have any of the order information on it.
Okay. I just click from the order and then like scroll down a little bit. I've learned that. Hello, friends. Welcome. Happy Friday. Oh my goodness, I've been so busy this week. How are you, Anna? I like your hair.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
It looks cute in details.
I like it too. I probably braid it more than I used to because it's like long enough now, and it's like sometimes the ponytail like gives me a headache. So
that's valid because my hair I just got a haircut, but when it was long, I was doing ponytails, and now I'm like, I remember why I keep my hair short because that's all I do.
And I have half of my hair shaved off, which I don't know. It like goes all the way around.
Does it go on both sides?
It doesn't. It stops behind this ear, but it's the whole back and the whole this side. And so this is only like it's only like half of my hair, so I can't imagine. Yeah, it goes up pretty high.
Oh wow!
I just have a lot of hair.
Yeah, I never realized that. And I saw your hair up. Okay, we're here to talk reselling. Hello, friends.
Hey, we usually
catch up and chat a little bit before we go live, and we both just hopped on. So if you guys are joining us, let us know who is here. I'm hot. It's hot. It snowed yesterday, and it's already melted, and it's like it says it's like 40 degrees, but the sun's out and it's hot. Hello, friends. So we are going to start with what sold because we always forget.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to let you share some what sold. Yours are probably way more interesting than mine. Can you share your screen?
Sure. I was going to say, I just pulled up like 4 from today, not from the whole week, but it's just, to me, the variety is hilarious. So
yeah, that's fine. Whatever works. If you guys do have questions, this is general Q&A as well. So feel free to ask questions.
Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to share my screen.
No worries. Friends, I bought like 1,000 items if you haven't been following, and I'm still working on, I finally got them all organized, but I was like 50 items until this started, and I was like, I have to get it done. So I'm like kind of hectic here just joining on. Hello, friends, while we wait for you. Nicole is a new member. Congratulations.
Hey.
We're going to get you there. Vintage at Less Traveled is already a member. So welcome. Hello. The Overflow Chart. Afternoon, ladies. Stories from the house. Laura from New York is here. Cheryl Tuck. She's over from Instagram. We chat quite often on Instagram. This is a general Q&A. We're going to share some of our what sold. I have a couple things that I want to touch on. I did another Poshmark live show. So I want to talk a little bit about that because it was a bit more chaotic. And kind of my strategy. I looked at some data. So videos will be coming out for that. I want to talk promoted listings. I'm just chatting while you bring up your thing.
Oh, okay. I was waiting.
There it is. No. I was just like chatting while you were waiting. Okay, so we're going to look at some. Anna has a couple of what sold. If you guys are new, she has 12,000 items, completely miscellaneous because her store is called, she also has a book about how to read. I always keep it right here because I didn't even.
Every time I have them behind me right here in this bin. You can see the spines, beautiful spines.
Oh, well, I sold a Halloween costume 4 days after Halloween.
Someone's like, maybe next like year.
Or maybe like there was a party like this weekend.
Yeah, definitely could have been. So I have sold a lot this week. It's been great. It's been full blown Q4, and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. But I just pulled 4 things that have sold today because I think that the variety is really funny. So this one is just like a blazer. And this is the only thing of the 4 that I'm going to show you that's actually in my storage units because I keep all the like little tiny stuff with me in my garage where I am right now at my shipping station. So also, I'm trying to figure out how to show you the next one. I'm not sure.
Just click on the next tab. Do you have another tab open?
I do. Can I just do like this? Did that work?
It did not. Did you share just a window or did you share like all of Chrome?
I'm not sure. Let me try.
Share with us, friends. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me move it.
It gave me like, okay, yeah. It gave me a like you have to change all your permissions in Chrome, blah, blah. So I picked a different one. So I don't know which one.
Okay. Let me share a couple of mine while we wait for you.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready. I cannot see the screen when I share with you though. Okay. So like you can't just look at me and like give me a side eye. Like I won't see you. Stop talking. I want to share now.
Okay.
So this is interesting. So I have been doing Sell Similar and promoting, really heavily promoting old inventory. This is an item that it was old and I sold similar, and it sold for $155 probably 2 weeks after I ended it and relisted it. Um,
Wow.
it had it had sold before and I had it returned because they didn't like the way it looked. And
Yeah.
so I think it just kind of wasn't getting it's perfect for this season right now. So I thought that, I mean, it's a high sale for sure too, but I thought that one was interesting. I am going to note too, I have a stock photo because I have permission. This is from like a liquidation palette. So I reached out to the company and said, hey, can I use one of your stock photos? It is absolutely illegal to use not use stock photos or use stock photos without permission. So just full disclosure, as I'm showing you a stock photo, that is why. This is interesting because I did a video a couple weeks ago. I can't see you, so feel free to jump in.
Oh yeah.
If you want
No,
to
I
say
just
something or talk or whatever, I'm just going to keep going. Or
go for
actually,
it.
let me move this screen so I can see you. Yeah, okay, because it's kind of weird just to talk and not see you.
Yeah.
So these are Miss Me, nothing fantastic. What's interesting is I did a YouTube video. I purchased, or America's Thrift Supply reached out to me and was like, hey, can we send you a box
Oh
um,
right.
for an unboxing? And I was like, yeah, cool. But I'd never done an unboxing with them sending something to me.
Hmm.
And I was like, I wonder if it's going to be like, if they're going to make it better than like if I just bought one. So I did a whole video of a box that I purchased under my husband's name. So they had no idea it was me.
Ha.
And then what they sent me. And so the video's up on my YouTube. And what's interesting is this is one of the ones that they sent. I think it was in the influencer box. Sold for $18. The cost of goods for these jeans were like $10 if you went through them. So not a
Wow.
huge margin, but they sold in 2 days. I'm bringing this up because I just did a video on it and they did sell quickly in 2 days, which they're a size 31. I knew they would probably sell pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Not extremely high. Did you figure it out? Do you want to share a
Yes,
couple?
but I don't think I can share one you're sharing, so I'm waiting.
Oh, but if you push it up, then it'll show like in my behind the scenes. And then I can remove mine and push, or does it not let you do
Will
that?
it? It won't let me click it. It's like
Oh,
gray.
okay, now
Sorry
try.
for the technical difficulties, guys.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
Oh, can you only share at one time? Okay, so let me finish mine. I think maybe we can only have one screen at a time.
yeah, I
So
think
let
so.
me finish mine and then I'll let you do yours.
Okay.
We'll get there, friends. Thanks for bearing with us. Let us know your guys' like favorite sale in the comments as well. Your top sale, your fastest sale, your most
Yes.
interesting sale. And we'll share some of those when we're done. This was Harley Davidson, which Harley Davidson sells. If you guys are resellers, you know, this sold the day I listed it, like 2 hours after.
Love
I think
that.
I listed it for like 65 and they sent me an offer for 40 and I was like, same day, like that's $40.
Yeah. I'll take
Um,
it.
yeah, I could have gotten a little bit more. It was pretty cool and it was a bigger size vintage. This is one of my best sales ever because it was a bins find. So I
Ooh.
paid $1, maybe
Yes.
$1.50 because it was a blazer. And it sold for $200. Veronica Beard, definitely keep an eye out. That's definitely a women's BOGO.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
this was a closet buyout from Poshmark. So this lady was cleaning out her entire closet and she had a lot of really nice, fancy, high-end dresses. And she had them
Wow.
priced, I think she had them priced maybe like 50-ish, not as high as I sold it for. But she had like 50 of them. And I was like, listen, if I buy your entire closet, I think I bought them for $10 a piece or something. And you
That's
could tell me
amazing.
if you want to. But then was like, "Well, you're gonna buy all of them?" I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna buy all of them." And she's like, "Done." Uh,
Yeah. Just
so
like,
this
get these out of here.
yeah, they didn't all sell for 200. Most of them are selling for like 40 to 60. But this one I knew was gonna, it's that Y2K bodycon style. And then this one is
Yeah.
a Marc Jacobs. This is one, it's not sell similar. It's one that I've had for a while. Purses sometimes take a while to sell just because they're higher price and you have to wait for the right buyer. But this I did increase the promoted listings on recently, and the traffic on it went up. So I think the promoted listing increasing that rate definitely
Nice.
helped it sell. So those are I shared like my highest ones, except
Yeah.
for the Miss Me one. So
Well, I pulled up a couple of my highest just in case it works. I can actually show them to you.
all right, let's see. Stop sharing. Now you try. Let me
Okay.
check in on the chat while you try. Hello, friends. Ken and JC are here. Hustle B, if you guys don't know, they were on.
Hi.
I had them on last week. We were talking sneakers. So if y'all are trying to learn sneakers, Amber Resells is here. She is also a reseller. Definitely one of my absolute favorite channels to watch. She just had a baby. So, I mean, it's probably
Oh,
been a
that's
little bit now.
awesome.
But recently had a baby. Definitely great content over there for sure. Let us know, friends, what your favorite sale was of the week. We are also here for question and answer. So if you have general questions, anything reselling, I'm on eBay and Poshmark. Anna is on eBay only. So if you have questions,
Yes.
either one of those platforms, and I'm starting live sales, Ken and JC, not on
Yeah.
Whatnot, but they convinced me, and I don't know, I'm not hating it, Anna.
I'm so glad. I mean, getting more than one under your belt has to have made a pretty big difference, right?
Yeah, the second one was worse though. So, because I
Worse
didn't
in
have a friend. Well, I didn't have a friend here with me to
oh,
help.
right, right.
So
It
I
was just
was
like more
doing,
chaotic. I'm
yeah,
really
it was
sorry.
hard.
This is apparently I have all my settings locked way down because it is not letting me. It's like telling me I have to change all these permissions in order to share anything.
Oh,
And I don't understand
um,
why.
let me see if I can go to your store really quick.
Let me try this. Hold on, I'm trying one more. No, it's still not letting me. So dumb.
Do you want to
Sorry.
just tell us, and then next week we can figure it out?
Yes, I'm sorry, everybody. What a buzzkill. Well, as Ken and JC know very well, I claim frequently to live under a rock, and I'm like the least technological person probably that any of you know. So, um, we'll figure it out, but it might take a second. But
We'll get
okay,
there.
so
Join us next Friday,
yeah,
and Anna will have her.
I know. Like maybe we need to practice this, or I need to like figure out what's wrong with my settings. Anyway, though, I will say so. It has been a great week of sales. I've had a couple days that are like over like $600 a day, which is like pretty big for me. So I'm like happy with that. But in those days, I've had a good volume and also a couple of like high dollar items. So I think I might have mentioned this last time, or maybe we were just talking about it. But one thing was these big containers of like industrial toner. So I sold more of those. So that
How
was
many do you have?
they like generally you sell them in like sets, like the different colors, just like in a regular like inkjet printer. And so there were like several different models, but sets of all four or all five color options. So probably altogether there were like maybe 20 to 25 boxes, but usually I would be selling them in like sets of four.
So how many
So
have you
and
sold? Because you sold a couple
there's a
last
few
week
ones.
too.
Yeah. I think I've sold all but like 6 of them, maybe.
Okay, so
So
once you can figure out how to share a screen, you'll have to show us because that sounds like
yeah,
a BOLO, not something I would ever pick up, but maybe other people
yeah,
that are
yeah.
watching might be interested in it.
I
That's
can
awesome.
actually I think it will let me share one tab at a time, but then it won't let me switch between them. But I'll show you those. Let me see if I can figure that
Okay,
out.
cool. Because you talked about those last week too.
My
We have a
last
question
attempt.
while
Okay.
you focus on that if you can, and I'll do the question. A
Okay.
higher percent off for store sale or coupon. I'm trying both, but wanted to know what success you have had running concurrently.
Mm,
Um, I think it depends on what you sell. I am fashion, highly saturated. I will beg, plead, bargain, sell one of my children to get a sale. So I wouldn't sell one of my, well, maybe one,
which
depending on the day.
one?
Right.
A specific one comes to mind?
Depends on the day. No, just kidding. But I do all of the things because, what's interesting is people, and we were talking about a coupon, right? Like you had a public coupon, but
Yeah.
not everybody sees it for some reason,
No.
or they don't. I'm like, I have a public coupon, 25% off. Every single order should be getting an additional 25% off.
Right.
And
You would
they don't.
yeah. They
I'm
just
not
don't
going to tell them that they missed out on it,
yeah.
but I think it depends on how people search or what they look for or
Yeah.
what they I don't know what it is, but that's why I do. So I do public coupons, I do a sale, I send out coupons with watchers, I send out coupons in a newsletter to previous buyers.
Yeah.
I do all the things. What else is there? You name it, I
I
send offers.
Well, like small update on that. I have been doing a different kind of coupon. I've been doing I think $10 off for every $50 you spend up to some ridiculous cap that no one will probably get to. But that has been like I've had more people use that one than the BOGO one that I was doing before. But I would say like to Rich's question, higher percent off, versus a coupon, I would think of that actually as higher percent off or higher percent promoted listings. I think the coupon is kind of a bonus either way, but if you're trying to push sales, I would be thinking about those two little toggles, because I think that's been making a huge difference.
And I would second that as well. I did a
Yeah.
video, I think it was last week. So if you guys want to see like how to run these test scenarios and the behind the scenes, check out the video. But I did similar where I used to heavily do sales on old inventory.
Yeah.
And so I went from like, let's say anything that was older than a year used to be 50%. I moved that down to 40%. And then I put 10% into promoted listings and my sales have increased. Because if you're running a sale for 50% off, but no one's seeing it,
Yeah.
it
And on the
doesn't
off
matter.
chance someone sees it, you make half the money. Yeah.
Right. And especially for me, because my stuff's seasonal. And so,
Yeah.
a lot of my stuff that's a year old, if I promote it, it's now back in season, to where I don't necessarily, it's not being bought because it was too expensive. It wasn't being bought because now people aren't seeing it. Once you've had it on
Right.
eBay for a year, they're not going to be showing it. So I think that is a good point. Like work
Yeah.
with your promoted listings on it. Okay, this is
These are the toners.
59.
Guys, and these boxes are huge. They're like over 2 feet long. So these are like ginormous.
How much does it weigh? How do you send that? And it's free shipping. Okay, so how does the shipping work for you?
So, thank God for the eBay, UPS, and FedEx discounts is the answer to that. So I shipped this for like $14, I think.
Really? Where did
And
it
I
go?
was,
So you're Atlanta. Where did it, like, how far did
Mhm.
it? Do you
Where did
remember?
it go? I want to say it went to New York or Chicago.
Okay,
But
so
I
not
know that I shipped some of
California
these to New
then.
York
Yeah.
fairly recently, like last week or whatever. And yeah, I mean, the most I've paid to they were actually bigger ones than these, but still like oversized package, like bigger than 12 by 12 by 12, right? So, um, dimensional weight wise, they're both oversized. They're both heavy, probably 7 or 8 pounds or something total. But yeah, I think the most I've paid to ship one is like $22 or something. And so because they're like, $200 to $300 items, I'm like totally happy to just eat that cost.
Yes, yes. How do you get that's crazy? Because I'm thinking it cost me $14 to ship a pair of boots.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Well, priority
That's
mail.
crazy.
It does.
So then it would be cheaper on I only do USPS. I don't get into all because I don't have any.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will pretty much only do FedEx and UPS for like oversized things because otherwise it's not worth the time. Like sometimes that happens where I'll be shipping, 30 things and there's one thing that maybe with UPS it would be $14, but with USPS it's $18 and I'm like it's not worth $4 of my life to have to drive to UPS especially for this thing.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
that's true because you can't do a pickup with them and stuff.
right, right. So I try to stick to USPS as much as possible, but with something like this, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can, print the label tonight, take it to UPS, which is on the way to where my inventory is anyway. So if like I have that turnaround where I'm like, okay, I can print this and basically just drop this off on my way tomorrow and everything's on time and it's fine, then I'll just do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. I didn't realize it was that cheap to print stuff and other.
Well, that's with a massive discount though. I mean, like I think we get like almost 40 to like 60% off or something of like the retail price of shipping with those services. So that's the only reason that it really works because it's so much cheaper than priority mail if it's an oversized or really heavy thing and it can't fit in a flat rate thing.
So that's when you go through eBay, right? And is
Yeah.
it cheaper? Do you ever use pirate ship? Is it cheaper to use pirate ship?
So I have looked at Pirate Ship, stamps.com, and Shippo, and usually it's similar, but not like drastically better enough ever. It's never been better or better enough to like warrant going to another site and messing with it. Because
That's
you
kind
have
of
to
how
like
yeah.
individually enter like all of the information. If it was something super, the only times I've really even looked are honestly times where I'm like, wow, I grossly underestimated the size or weight of this package. And now I'm like scrambling to find the cheapest way to ship it. And I
Yeah.
still usually end up just printing it through eBay. So,
'Cause you get like, I kinda know this answer, but for people out there, you get like, you don't weigh ahead, you kinda guess or like, "Ah, I think it'll be about this much," 'cause you're just a pro, right? You have
Yeah.
12,000 items that you have well, how many have you listed total? Like, what's your
Oh, over 20,000 for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where I feel like now I'm not at that level, and I do all the same things, but I can be like, "Oh, this pair of jeans is going to be more than a pound, and this pair" like, for the most part.
Yeah. Right.
But most
It's
are
just
all the same.
well, and sort of knowing the, like, general rules of, like, dimensional weight, it's like, okay, I know that if I'm gonna send this, like I know kind of the upper limits of things. So even with these, like, well, I know they're going to be overweight and I know they're going to be oversized, and so I'm definitely going to send them with UPS or FedEx, and that means it's probably not going to cost me more than like $30 max, unless it's like a piece of furniture or something. In which case, I do measure it and stuff in advance, and I don't just like guesstimate. But
And you've sold furniture
I have, yeah,
on eBay? That's
I
wild.
have, yeah. I've sold. What have I sold? I've sold a chair, like a wooden chair. I've sold a couple of really cool Italian wooden valets, like, that go in like your bedroom and men can like hang their tie and their like blazer and whatever. Um, I've sold several of those because they're really fun. I mean, they're not fun to like pack up and ship, but
Yeah, no, that sounds awful. I'm just thinking we might have to have, like, a ship with me day where you, like, show us
yeah,
how you do you do international shipping
yeah.
on everything?
Just about everything. So if there's anything that is restricted. Like I think I have some things that have like fur that like it can't go to all the countries that are, under
Right.
the umbrella of whatever international shipping I have selected. So for those, I only do them domestic because I don't want to deal with selecting out countries and all that. But generally speaking, yeah, it's pretty much all available.
That's interesting. If you guys have I'm just asking all the shipping questions because I ship, like, the same 3 things. Like, it's either under a pound, a flat rate padded,
Yeah.
or a flat rate medium. Every once in a while, something weighs 2 to 3 pounds. And it's either, like, under and doesn't fit in a or fits in a bubble padded or,
Yeah.
like, way higher, and then it's just medium-sized box. I don't think I've shipped anything heavier or bigger than a medium-sized flat rate box.
Man, that does streamline it a lot. I mean, I spend a lot of time shipping, so
It
something to
does.
consider. I have this friend who always likes to say, "Time is money, friends," and she's right. So,
It's true. But you have to look at your how much money you are. So my,
yeah,
brother-in-law will sell everything. He's been reselling for like 20 years, and every once in a while he is over it, but he likes to shopping. He's like, "I don't want to do this anymore." And I'm like, I'll consign with you.
yeah,
You go out and shop and I'll do all the rest of the stuff. So then I have to like ship his stuff. And I'm always like, "Oh, I'm gonna do hard goods and I'm gonna learn all kinds of things." And then I consign with him for a couple months until he kind of feels like he wants to do it again. And I'm like, "Nope, that was
you're like,
awful.
"Not for
I had to
me."
find a box, and it took me 20 minutes." Like, I can
Yeah.
ship an item in 2 minutes. Someone's saying GPS. So how do you do your international shipping?
Oh,
Do you do
GSP,
UPS
yeah.
or GSP? Sorry, GPS.
GSP, yeah, Global Shipping Program. So I love GSP. They are rolling out a new international shipping program that's supposed to be more streamlined and like better value and better kind of sort of better insurance. Like eBay handles it more once it leaves your custody, and returns and stuff are going to be easier. So I actually emailed them after whatever that was recently. It wasn't eBay Open, it was something else, but it was like
Yeah, it was like
the
a
seller forum or
another one.
whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they were saying if you're interested in it and you're not already part of the new program, like email us. So I emailed in. I just got an email yesterday where they were saying, "Hey, we're so glad you're interested. Just confirm that you still want to do it." So I'll report back on that. But I think they're putting me into it. I don't know if that means I have to like change something in my business policies for shipping or how that's going to work. But it's supposed to be like new and improved global shipping, kind of all the benefits of the eBay International Standard Program and the GSP program. So we'll see how that shakes out. But it sounds really good. Hopefully, in
Yeah,
practice,
in
it will be
theory.
really good, and I will make more international sales because I make a good amount, but it's really not a ton. And their dimensional weight stuff is really like strict also. And so that'll be annoying sometimes with even like clothing, like, okay, here's a thing that I'm selling, that's going to France. Well, it's a pound and 2 ounces. And now instead of $12, it's like $20 because it's those 2 ounces that would make a way bigger difference. And so kind of stuff like that. Like I was making that up, but maybe
Yes,
that type of stuff will
noted.
be like less egregious.
I also asked to be part of it because I'm like, anything new, I want to like fill it out. And
Right. Yeah,
they
yeah.
sent me an email and they sent all of the like, I don't know if restrictions is the right word, but it's not completely, it's in
Yeah.
beta, right? Like they're
Right.
having just a few.
Right.
And I have multi-user access. And so I responded and was like, is this because I know a lot of functions in
Yeah.
general, they don't have even after it's completely rolled out.
Right.
And so I don't know how that's gonna like they create all my listings. If they don't have access to all of the things that they need access to, like I just can't try it out. So definitely stay tuned, friends, because
Yeah.
eBay is rolling it out, and hopefully me and or Anna or one of us will
Yeah.
have access to it. I don't do GSP anymore. I did it in the beginning because it was super easy and it was one click and I didn't know what I was doing. And then I started doing the eBay internet shipping. What is it? The
Yeah.
international shipping program.
Yeah.
The only thing with that is their insurance only goes up to it's either 100 or 150. But I don't sell anything more than that. And
Yeah.
if you do, you can buy added insurance
Right.
for a couple of bucks. It's the reason I started doing it. I never wanted to.
Oh no. What happened? Are we still there? It's
Oh,
just
it's
me.
me.
Hello?
Sorry, I hit a button.
I was
So
like, I'm alone.
I wondered if it would keep you or if everything would end. So
It
this has
kept
to do.
me.
Yes. So my Posh show, I started it. This is beta on Posh. I was talking shipping international. Remind me, I'll come back to that Posh thing because it had to
Yeah.
do with what just happened. It was chaos.
Okay.
Um, so I had a buyer who was like, "Can you make this any cheaper?" And so I did a little research, and it was like probably a fourth of the cost to not do
Mm,
the GSP. And so I like went through like the tense and struggle of trying to figure out something new. And then once I
yeah.
did that, it's not really a big issue. And I've never had, I'm thinking insurance wise, I think I've had one person say they didn't get it and it was under the cap and eBay paid them out and they paid me out and it was no big deal.
I
And it's
I
so much cheaper.
I used it once or like at one time. I tried it. I use GSP now pretty much exclusively, but I tried it and I sold something fragile to Japan
Yeah.
and it broke even though I had like totally packed it like I pack everything and I almost never have stuff break. My last name is Packer. I better be dang good at packing, right? And I am, but they unbox it and repack it sometimes. I think they spot check them or something. Like literally
Oh,
what it
to make
arrived
sure
in
nothing.
is not what I sent it in. And so it
Oh.
arrived broken. It was a set of like some kind of vintage like glassware and it was just it took forever to process it and it was a bummer for everyone involved and so I was just like okay, well, I didn't like the process of handling it and it wasn't like it literally wasn't my packing job that created the breakage because it broke after they inspected and sent it on. So and I was just like waiting forever for it to process. So I was like, I'm just gonna go back to GSP because it's easier.
And I think
But
that's where that
also
new international program is gonna be kind of a mix of the both of them, where it's like the ease of the GSP, but then like the cheapness and the support.
right. And I'm hoping that the cheaper side of it will encourage more international sales from my stuff because I know like, the buyer always pays the shipping on those. And if it's like egregiously high, then they're just not gonna buy it from me. So
You might consider, I think you can set this up. You can set it up to certain countries, right?
I
Because you
think
might
so.
consider what I've heard and noticed buyers will suggest to me is Canada.
Hmm.
It is so expensive to do GSP, but it's so cheap to do the
Oh,
eBay ship, and you have less risk going to Canada, right? So maybe
right.
like your items under $100 that aren't like super breakable, you can
Yeah.
say, "Hey, just to Canada, I want to set it up." Because I've had quite a few people that like I had a couple GSP still on because I didn't bulk edit them out because they probably had offers or something.
Yeah.
That reach out to me and are like, "Hey, can you make this any cheaper?" Because and then you take it down and it's like at least half the shipping costs. So and
Yeah.
then for Canada only. I know a lot of
I
people in Canada.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had people ask me that like here and there, and a lot of times I'm just like, I'm sorry, like I don't have time to like go in and figure out this whole thing, and you may or may not even buy it. Like, no,
Yeah,
but
no, that's valid.
yeah,
That's true because you have a
but
lot more access.
still, but I'm hoping, I mean, maybe with this kind of new program that's supposed to be the best of both worlds, like that will be solved. Like
Yes. I
that would
mean, it
be
would be
real
nice
nice.
to be able to access way more international buyers. I'm
Yeah.
interested, everyone in the chat, if you guys sell international and what programs you use. Okay, I wanted to talk because you mentioned in my live on, I don't know, at some point somewhere, you told me that you increased your promoted listings again. I think it was my live on Wednesday, maybe you
Was it
mentioned.
with Gabe? It might have been.
Yes, yes, which was such a fantastic, like, I talked to Gabe and I'm just like, well, obviously I need to go take over the world now too because he's such a good human being
But
that
don't you
I
want to take it over like with him because he's so great and like I just
yes, yes,
I'm
no,
like, how can we all hang out again? That was the best. I just love
I
him.
know. I mean, his family lives in Colorado, so y'all are welcome to come out here
Yeah.
and
Well,
we can just brew it up. We have
yeah.
lots of great breweries.
That's what I hear.
So promoted listings, you increase you've kind of been messing around with it. For people who watching for
Yeah,
the first time, kind of catch us up on where you're at and then what you did this week and what you're seeing.
totally. So on one hand, I have been working with a promoted listings growth advisor from eBay, who's been awesome. Shout out Marcy, you're the best. And she's just been helping me understand kind of for my specific store and my business model and my strategy, like what are the ways that I can use promoted listings to accomplish different things that I want to accomplish. So from just kind of doing experiments and learning how to understand, the results essentially and let that guide decision making, like that's been helpful. But what's happening now is my husband and I are probably getting ready to move several states away, which means my whole eBay store has to go with me. And so I have this kind of sense of urgency of like, okay, how can I effectively do like a semi liquidation of
Mhm.
my inventory, partially because hello, more cash in hand, that helps when you're trying to move, like
Right,
and
and
buy
less
a
to move.
property and
Yeah,
all that stuff. Partially because I would literally have fewer things to physically move, which would also just be better and easier. And I know how to, build up an eBay store, so I can always pump it back up to 12,000 items later if I want to, but I
yeah,
don't necessarily want to, but I want to have like, higher average sale price and stuff. Like those are my goals for my business. At the moment, like going forward. So anyway, so now I'm using my promoted listings. So I did have them just in general. I had put it on, I think it was like, it was a simple campaign, but it was from across my whole store because I'm in like all these different categories and it's just like way too much to try to like, select out different categories and do different promotions. So I've sorted it by like price, and everything that's under like, oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. So what I was doing was the whole entire store, not necessarily sorted by price, but just everything. The suggested ad rate plus up to I think 2 or 3 percentage points higher with a cap of about 11%. So I was able to look at across all those categories what my suggested ad rates were and make sure that I wasn't like capping out too much. So basically everything had at least a little bit of room to be promoted beyond um, the suggested ad price, which was the point of like kind of helping me know where should I set that cap so that I'm still including my whole inventory, but I'm not like bleeding out a bunch of cash either. So
yes, yes, true.
that's how I had it set. And so then we're like kind of monitoring that for a few weeks. And also meanwhile it turned over into Q4. So that helped a lot too. but
It's for you,
but
yeah.
it definitely helped. And then, this week, essentially, I talked to Marcy and was like, okay, so if that's kind of the resting rate that I want my promoted ads to be my general strategy. But if we're going to talk about doing like a semi liquidation, that would change. And so I decided, based on knowing sort of across all these categories what some of the suggested ad rates are, what would really like give it a kick in the pants without going totally overboard. And she basically told me for most sellers that she's worked with, she starts to see diminishing returns at like 20% in a lot of categories. So she's like, as you're trying this out, maybe don't don't go like 50% right out the gate for your whole entire inventory. 20% is probably a good like ceiling for now. And so because I was at a max of like 11, I think, I was like, okay, well, this week I'm going to crank it up to 15% across the board for everything that's $150 or less, which is like the vast majority of my items. Okay. I probably have 200 to 400 items that are like over that, maybe.
So did you pick lower than 150 because obviously it's a percent and you want to pay less fees? Was that your
Yes.
purpose? Okay.
Yes. So then I set all the other ones because I would rather, I'm happy to continue to wait for the right buyer as per my strategy, right, of my whole store,
Yeah.
to continue to wait for the right buyer and to get the price I want for those higher dollar things. Like I will 100% with joy in my heart move all 200 of those things with me to another state. But the other stuff, I'm like, let's ship all this out as fast as we can so that we can have less to move. And so
and even at a 20% to get rid of it, you're still making 80%. Well, not 80% because you have your cost of goods and then your regular eBay fees, but you're still making money, or it just sits there.
Or it just sits there. Right. And so it's so that anything above 150, I still have it promoted, but it's a maximum of 10%. So I did actually split it apart based on the price of the items to do 2 different campaigns. And so, the higher dollar campaign captures all of those items that are over $150 and has a maximum of 10% ad rate. Because in general, I'm, all semi-liquidation aside, in general, I'm willing to wait for those things longer because they're worth more. So anyway,
that's interesting. That's interesting because I'm doing something very similar. Our stores are very different, but I'm doing something very similar where I have a couple campaigns going. I ran a bunch of test scenarios. So if you guys are wondering, like, the nitty gritty and the how-tos of what we're talking about, I have quite a few videos on promoted listings in the past couple of months on running these test scenarios, exactly like step-by-steps of how to do it. So if you guys are like, hey, what are they talking about? How do I do this? Check out some of my older videos. I ran quite a few test scenarios. And what I've kind of landed on is I'm doing it based off of time. But I don't have I don't have that many high-end items, maybe 10 over.
Like that $200 blazer and dress, like that stuff would have been in my like high dollar category.
Yeah, true. But I don't normally sell. Like this week was weird. And maybe it's because I started promoting. So some of those were older and I promoted them at a higher rate. And like that, those 2 of those I had for, well, one I sold sell similar, which is another strategy for older inventory. I'm not moving, but I'm capped out on space. So I'm in the get out of here so I can get new stuff in.
Right.
Like
also, the live shows. You're like, move all of this out tomorrow.
Yes, which is part of my live show, to increase my sell-through rate without having to have more stuff, like, because I don't have to store it. But now I do have to get more racks and figure out where those are going. Because like I have 3 live shows that I'm gonna do in the next couple, like next week, but now I have no space
to line them up.
Like to get another one, and then that's where I normally put my items that I'm gonna photograph. So now, like, I have to figure out that kind of organization.
It's disrupting your workflow.
It is, but I'm going to figure it out. Like, I was talking to Chris from Daily Refinement, and he's like, Sarah, you need to do these live shows.
Yeah.
Because I was telling him that I was going to quit because my brain just wasn't really stimulated. It was kind of like just doing the same things over and over, like a hamster wheel. And now I'm like, okay, I have problems to solve. Like, how do I like do this? And how do I, and putting together the shows, we kind of totally got off of eBay, but putting together the shows is like a fun creative outlet for me. Like styling them, and I did reels.
Like, there's also a certain amount of opportunity that is present in all chaos. And so you're throwing a wrench in and there's some chaos, but like there is a great opportunity tucked inside of there. And that's what's compelling about it, right? That's what motivates you to want to solve the problems.
Yes. And I'm interested to see, because for right now on Poshmark, it's beta. So it's not open to everybody. Once it's open to everybody and there's like 500 Posh Life shows at one time, I don't know if that's going to like suppress the sales. Like everyone right now is like, I'm selling everything, but I don't know that that's gonna, which is another reason that I'm like, if I can gain some traction, then people hopefully, like, it's social media selling, right? Like, I'll stay with me, but then you have to keep doing it, which is exhausting. Back to promoted listings really quick though, because I did have a couple things to say on promoted listings.
Yes, I have a question for you about that too. So
okay. So I'm doing similar, but I do it based off of time period, and I'm noticing success off of it. I did want to know a couple things though, because so one thing is I'm doing a test. I'm going to do a video on it. I have my oldest inventory that I don't even know how old it is. I did 50% promoted listings on it with like a
Yes.
20% swing because I want to like this is a complete social media video. I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
And so I started it yesterday and it's getting me traction. It hasn't sold yet
Awesome.
though. I wondered, I was like, if I do 50%, it's got to sell really quick. My hypothesis is it's an old inventory. And so if you have a bad listing, no matter how much you promote it, it's not going to sell.
That's
That's
what
my
I've been
hypothesis.
told.
Yes, that is my hypothesis. So stay tuned and see. Because if it doesn't sell within a week or two, I'm going to go in and look at the listing and figure out if it is actually a bad listing. It's years old. So obviously my listings have gotten better. My photos have gotten better. It might just be something people don't want anymore.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing is I was on a call with eBay promoted listings team. They wanted to pick my brain about like some ideas that they had, right, as a seller. So then I was like, well, I have you here, so I'm gonna ask you all the questions. And
Right.
so I asked her, and she was like, oh, that's a hard question. But I asked her, we were kind of talking about it last week, possibly the week before, about like the trending just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And so I was like, as a seller, like I don't mind spending a little bit, but if this just keeps getting higher and higher because everyone is doing it at 7% now, so then I'm doing +2, that 9% now in 6 months is going to be the
Becomes
trending.
right.
And then it's gonna like at what point is eBay gonna be like, stop? And she's like, that's a valid question. They're still trying to figure it out. Part of why they came out with promoted listing advance was to solve that problem and give us more
Mm,
control over what we were paying for. It
right.
doesn't work for me because I'm probably not you either, because you don't have like keywords that you use all the time.
No.
But it was hopeful in the sense of, hey, we understand that that's a problem, and we want to
Yeah.
give you guys more control over what you're trending and be able to make decisions instead of just like a cap on everything like you're having to do for 12,000 items.
Yeah.
And then she said too, which we kind of talked about before, is if you have a bad listing, you have a bad listing. Like it's going to plateau at a certain point, and the people on the top are still going to be the people at the top because they
Right.
still have better listings. They still have things people want. They still have like all the things that are going to get you purchases. It's not going to matter. Like it's going to plateau at a certain point.
Yeah.
She couldn't obviously know what that point was, but I thought that was interesting. And then
Yeah.
she did also say one more thing on promoted listings. She did also say that it puts your item in 130 plus places on eBay. I thought it was 30. I
Well,
heard, yeah, I heard someone say 30. So those who have watched my videos, I've been saying 30, and I must have missed the 100 before it.
yeah.
When I think Valerie maybe told us that, but
Okay, I was gonna say I remember Valerie. I thought what I remember, I mean, my memory of it is that she had said that like 40 plus places.
yeah,
So,
maybe
but
it's
she was
more.
like obviously ballparking it also. But yeah, I mean, 130 is a lot more than 40. So, but
Yes.
I could totally just have misremembered that as well. I just was blown away that it was more than like 10.
Well,
So,
and they could have maybe added to it as well because
yeah,
Valerie worked in like seller solutions, right? And I
yeah,
was talking to like the promoted ads team.
right,
And so
right.
it could be like they've added to it and it hasn't like made its way through all of eBay to know the new place,
Yes.
right?
I have to confess a party foul really quick.
Yeah.
I left my charger in the other room and my computer's about to die. May I go grab it while you entertain and answer questions?
Yes. You do not have to ask questions. You do not have to ask for permission, but I
I
will.
just feel bad because I'm like, how can I forget my charger? Okay, I'm gonna
No,
mute
no, you're
myself
good.
and I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good. Hello friends. So I'm actually going to take Anna off. You guys have just me. If you have questions, feel free to ask them down in the comments. We have about another 15 minutes. If you have questions specific to eBay or Poshmark, feel free. I want to talk a little bit about Poshmark live shows. However, I am going to wait because I want to have Anna's input on it. We're getting back to international selling. I sell international from Australia and stick with our main post service, which offers a business program for cheaper postage compared to what we get charged for eBay. That's interesting. So an Australian seller is saying that it's cheaper if you use their postage. than eBay, which is interesting because like in the US, they have like deals with the different places as well. That was
Yes.
super fast. I was like, oh, what am I going to talk about?
Just one question. I
But
knew right where it was.
I know. Did you have a question about promoted listings?
Yes, I wanted to know just specifically how you said you selected them by age, basically. Are you doing like here's the suggested rate plus or minus some amount?
Yes. So this is, and I think I don't know, I might reach out to eBay and tell them that they need to work on this because it's a lot of steps to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like they need to make the promoted listings like a sale where you can do filters and you can select
Yes.
things and change things. Cause now what you run into is if you're promoting items, you can't change, you can go in and change them each individually, but you can't start a new campaign. And a campaign, for those who are new to promoted listings, a campaign just allows you to look at the data and analyze what you did. So you have drop downs and you can kind of look at what it's doing, which obviously I like to do. And so you have to go in, figure out what you're selecting, bulk edit everything, take them off a promoted listing, wait 5 minutes for eBay to catch
Yeah.
up, and then
Yeah.
redo them all. And if you're like, for you, that probably took you forever because you have 12,000 items and it's what, 200? Well, you could do it in bulk.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I only have ever I don't promote them individually. Like I only ever started it as a campaign. And so then all I had to do was like end the current
And the
campaign,
campaign.
wait 5 minutes, start the two new ones, which, only capture the listings that you do adjust the settings for, like by price or by age or whatever. So
Yeah. I
but
wish
it takes a while. Like the day that I changed it all over, I feel like my sales were really slow because it was all like catching up and updating a million listings, and
yeah,
it just took a while. It seems like it's in full swing again now,
but it does take, and this is what I'm thinking because I am currently using it for like age. And so it's a struggle because I go in and I was going in by like this list date and I sort by the list date. I have like 12 pages when you do it by 200,
yeah.
which I imagine you probably have like 50.
64.
Yeah, right. So this takes forever. So what I do, because I'm like every month I'm going to change it because now I'm a month older, right?
Right.
And I haven't done it for November yet because I'm like, this is going to be a pain. So I do need to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
What I was doing is like all of my old, like the last 3 pages. Generally, it's my oldest inventory. Generally, it's a year or two old. I don't remember what the parameters were. So I ended everything on the last 3 pages,
Yeah.
but I had to go into each page to bulk edit all of them
Man.
and then end the promoted because they were all on different campaigns, end
Yeah.
them in bulk edit and then start a new campaign and
Yeah.
then do it for the next. So I haven't, yeah, it's kind of a pain.
I mean, that sounds like a pain. Like, so here's another thing. Sorry, somebody just said Resale Secret says I miss being able to adjust the rate within a listing. Some stuff doesn't need much. I think that's why they do you can do you can do the suggested ad rate plus or the suggested ad rate minus. So if you're
Yeah.
like, I think this category's ad rate is too high, but I still want to get some of that promoted listings action, you can say, I'll do, the suggested rate minus 3 points, with like a limit or whatever.
Well,
So
and that's always moving too. Like you might be okay with it
yeah,
now and then it may go up and which is
right.
why
If that floor moves up, then you're moving up with it.
yes.
So yeah.
I actually I don't list friends. My listers do. And I upload my drafts from my computer or from my phone, which they haven't changed to the new listing tool.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving home this morning. I'm like, I have this idea. You know that circle that they had, and you had to like do the item. So I was like, I had this whole video in my head, and then I went on to list, and they got rid of that dang circle, which was what my video was. Like, they need to get rid of that circle because it's awful.
You're
So
like,
I was like, hooray for eBay.
that was a
But
short
like,
video.
yeah, I'm like, this is all new. Like my listeners had told me that it was new, and they sent screenshots like, what should we do for this and stuff. But I
Yeah.
don't list, so I haven't actually been in a listing on eBay. So
Yeah.
congrats to eBay for changing that because that was
I
awesome.
agree. I feel like it was peer pressuring people into like squandering their youth on needless item specifics in a lot of cases.
Well, and it actually hurts your listing too because if you selected an item specific that's not relevant, then it's coming up on searches
Yeah.
that aren't relevant, and then you're not getting clicked on, and then eBay suppressing your item.
Right.
which was the whole purpose of my video. So kudos
Talk
to
about shooting yourself in the foot. Thanks.
yes. Resale secrets. I have to have resale secrets on. She is like an eBay. I love chatting with her about eBay or all reselling in general. So she does have social media. I'll leave her up here for a minute. She does have social media. You guys should definitely follow her
Nice.
on social media because she has great content and great conversations. I think she does a lot on Clubhouse, or she used to. And as well as the Thrifty Broad.
Hey, Thrifty Brown.
She's coming on in a few weeks as well. If you guys have questions, we have about, you guys keep hearing my alarm go off because I do have to get children. We have about 10 minutes if you have questions. Are we caught up? I wanted to talk about my Posh Live. If you
Yes,
have,
I want to hear about that. Really quick, I was going to say, I can't wait for the day when everyone in the chat is like, Sarah, your kids, don't forget them. Like, none of us are going to let you forget them.
thank you.
I want that to happen once where the alarm doesn't go and we're the alarm. Anyway, you can go ahead with the.
It will. And my husband, he's probably on a work call, but when he's not, so yesterday grandma got him and it was like 3:50. So I had to pick him up at 3.
Yeah.
It was 3:15 and he was like, oh, are you going to get the kids? And I'm like, well, thankfully grandma's getting them because it's 3:15 right now. Like, and it takes me 15 minutes to get there. So
Right.
kudos for you for remembering 15 minutes late and actually like 30 minutes late because I had to leave at 2:45.
Actually 30 minutes late.
But he was like, something's off here. And I was like, no, grandma's getting them. Duncan has a question, I'm sure. Okay, so these are tips. I did a video. I'm going to keep doing videos, but I did a video looking at the data. I want to talk a little bit about that. But I did the show by myself, which was, I'm so thankful that Renee came and helped me because it would have been pure chaos because the second show, even though I'd already done one, was pure chaos. So I logged in and from talking to people and seeing people, most sellers have 2 people that do it. Which I can see why I don't have another person to do it. So I had to figure out how to do it by myself. So someone was like, get on like a tablet that's bigger because it's like looking at the comments. Otherwise you're on your phone and you're like this trying to read the comments and you're like, I do it on my phone and it's so little and I'm trying to get through the comments as I'm sure it was chaos. So anyway, so I have it up on my phone. I'm in the show. We're ready to go. You have to load the items into the show ahead. So that's all ready to go. I get onto my tablet, logged into my Poshmark account, obviously. I get onto my tablet and it's like, well, you can't have 2 people. You can't be in the show twice as the same person. And so I'm like, oh crap. So because it says on my tablet, it's already kicked me out of my phone, which I didn't know. And so I was like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. So I clicked out of it on my tablet and then it ended my complete show. And you can't, once you end the show, you end it. Like you can't go back. You can't. So like my show was gone. So then I know. And so then I'm like scrambling and I had been like promoting this on social media. Here's the link.
No.
I know. And it was like 8:00 in the morning and I was like, oh, what do I do? So I created a new, and I'm sharing this in hopes that if other people are on Poshmark, they can gain, or they're like, hey, I'm going to do my first show. Make sure that if you're on 2 tablets or 2 devices, you're logged out. You can only be in there as one. And so then I had to go create a new show quickly. And then I have to add all of the items back in, which isn't take a lot of time, but now I'm like flustered and I'm like, well, I want people. So I'm like adding items on my computer as they're watching me.
Like, welcome to the show.
Yeah. I was like, hello, don't leave. I'm adding items. Hold on. And then I added an item that I had that I wanted to buy from someone else's closet. And everyone's like, can we see that item? And I was like, that's not actually my item. Yeah. But everything else went fine. I did 100% sell through again, every single item sold.
Nice.
I looked at, and I don't have the data with me because I clicked out of it before I started this for something, but 100% sell through again. My average sale price for Posh Live compared to Poshmark and eBay is lower. But, and this is what the video, so you guys get a sneak peek of what my video coming out is going to be. I looked at just the brands that I'm selling. And the brands that I'm selling tend to sell a little bit lower anyway. And their average sale price is on par with what it normally sells for. So it's not actually selling lower. It's just that I'm picking brands that sell lower than my normal average sale price.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm like, oh, it's a volume game. You're going to sell lower prices, but it's not, at least so far, my sample data of 2.
Yeah. Well, I remember Ken Hustleby saying his is usually about 15% lower than what it would sell for just on a non-live platform like eBay or whatever. But I remember him saying that and both of us being like, well, that's not that's not too bad. Like, that's what you might pay in
Selling
promotable listings or
everything.
whatever. So,
Well, and I was willing to, like, sell at a little bit of a lower price if you're selling
yeah,
everything. So now I'm
exactly.
gonna try some new strategies. I've been doing Free People and Anthro. I picked out a couple of shows that have some other, like, higher end things to see if those will sell too.
Yeah,
I've heard that Poshmark sells higher than What's Not as well. I'm not on What's Not. So that could be what Ken's seeing is that Whatnot maybe
yeah,
dropped a lower price.
yeah, maybe so.
Stay tuned. I was very like, oh, this isn't worth it. They're selling lower, blah, 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 blah. And friends, this is where it's important to look at your data.
Yeah.
My gut feeling was telling me things were selling lower. I actually looked at the numbers in the whole video. I show you all the numbers. But it's exciting news. All right, couple questions, and then I do have to get the kids. Duncan is saying, your kids are saying, Mom, where are you? Okay, we talked about what should I promote my items at today? 10, 25, 49, or 80. Duncan, you joined late, but I did promote a listing really, really high. So we'll see what's going on around. I do sell a little bit of everything on eBay. I had noticed that if I only list clothes, I just sell clothes. And if I list ceramics, I sell ceramics. Do I have to be listing every daily category?
Hmm. I
You
don't
sell.
I
Yeah.
don't think so. I mean, I sell a little bit of everything, and I sort of do occasionally, like, I'll list a whole bunch of the same type of item, like maybe the same thing in the same category. But I think for me, what I notice is that when things seem to sell, because it's basically because I just listed them, or my that part of my store is like getting traction because of the new listings. And like there is something to that. Like your new listings, do impact the visibility of your old listings. But also, I just think there's some percentage of everything that you list that sells more quickly. And so I think we have a little bit of a perception bias about that, that like, oh, wow, I just listed, all these clothes and now it seems like all I'm selling is clothes, when it's like maybe it's the normal amount plus that small percentage of the literally the ones you just listed, and it kind of bulks it up a little bit. But I don't know. I don't pay that close of attention to that. As long as things are selling, I'm happy. But I do know what you're talking about. Like I've experienced it to some degree. I just haven't like tried to figure it out very hard.
I would say so. I don't sell that many categories, but like within fashion, like if I
Yeah,
list shoes for like weeks and weeks, then that's what you see selling. But I'm going to say for the exact reason that you said, you're
yeah,
selling your normal amount of shoes, but then if you list 3 weeks of shoes, that's like 300 shoes for me.
yeah.
You have more available, and there are
Right,
items that are newly listed that you have a higher percentage. If you have good stuff, you have a higher percentage of those when selling on top of what normally sells. So it
right.
feels like it. And I have looked at the data.
There you go.
So for me, that's what it is. What you're listing is what's selling. This is interesting because I was telling my husband this because I was looking at the numbers and I was like, this is really good. And then I was like, you can't put a number on the personality that you have to be on
Yours
camera.
is a 10.
Thank you, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
not that I, like, am some personality, but you have to be, like when I'm
Yeah,
listening, I can put my podcast in, and I can be in my pajamas, and I can, like you're selling items, right? So you
yeah.
have to, like, put that persona on
Engage.
to
Yeah.
sell it, and you can't put a number on that. And so that's where I was like, if I stopped doing this lives or as frequently, I think that's probably what it would have been, and we talked about this last week too, is, that part of it, I'm not sure, but I do YouTube as well, but it's not engaging. Right? Like,
Yeah.
we are, but, like, when I do videos, I'm just talking information at you guys, like,
Right, right.
but she's saying it's more of a social media, so that's interesting. I think we're good. Good tip. Bye for Duncan's in a ornery mood today. All right, so I think we're good. We're right at I don't have to yeah, I do have to go. Anything you wanna say before we leave?
No, I think we're good. We'll just keep on touching base on stuff, and maybe I'll figure out how to show you guys what sold, and go buy my book if you want to know how and why I built my store from scratch.
Yes. Yes, I do have videos coming out. That Poshmark live video will come out within the next couple of days. I have to get it edited, and that's a lie. I don't edit, but I had to put thumbnails on and description and all of that stuff. But I want to get it out quickly because it's good information, and I do have 3 shows lined up. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm gonna try and do 2 a week.
Wow.
It's the sell through. Like I have a goal for the year, and I'm like, I think this could get me there. I don't know that long
Yeah.
term I want to do it, but it's kind of hard to say no. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the plan.
you got to
1
give
to
it
2 a week.
the full college try, right?
Yes, exactly. And well, that's what I was saying. Like I'll try it for November, possibly December, minus the
Yeah.
holidays, and then analyze from there as long as it doesn't make me like combust.
Yes.
So
Try not to combust. But we would appreciate that.
yes, so I could be here next week. Thank you guys. I hope your sales continue, Anna, and we'll see you next.
Yeah.
Well, we'll chat, but we'll see everybody else next
Yes.
week.